Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
We're back with Lighten Up with Steve Miller and Matt Zucker.
Welcome back, everybody, here on Lighten Up on Israel News Talk Radio. My name is Steve Miller, and once again, I am with my handsome host from the Holy Land, Matt Zucker.
Thank you, handsome. That is so sweet of you to say.
Well, you are handsome, and I just want to apologize to everyone for last week, because I know it sounded like I was calling from my cell phone on top of Mount Sinai on a windy day. It was my internet went out like 2 minutes before the show. I was freaking out, and all week long I'm just like, I was trying to figure out how to fix it, and I'm like, oh my god, I got to get a new computer, and I'm schwitzing because I'm like this neurotic Jew. You know what it was?
What?
I just had to restart my router. Just press one button, and I was sweating it for like 72 hours.
Don't you have a teenager you could have asked?
They don't care about me. They hate me in this house.
But they would have told you. Restart it.
Anyway, it's good to be back, and you can hear me. Anyway, Matt, we got a great show. Last week I didn't get to. I want to get another Taliban update, which will be good.
The last Jew is actually en route now to Israel.
What?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
Save that story because that's fascinating. And yep. And of course, as always, the last 3 weeks, stupid Jewish entertainment news. Another excellent segment.
A never-ending trough of material.
It's unbelievable. It's the stupidity and the hatred in this world to us. All I can do is laugh.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you something. If we have time, I'd like to broach free speech advocates who also are anti-Israel. How do you balance that?
Okay. Interesting.
A lot of stuff to cover.
A lot of stuff. And hopefully another great story about the fake vice president of the United States. But we'll be back.
I think you bailed out a little bit early, Stephen.
I'm sorry. Keep talking.
That's okay. You're out of practice, man.
I'm sorry. I was on Mount Sinai last week.
Israel is located in one of the most volatile areas in the world. Israel is an island of stability in a sea of war and unrest. In the midst of this turmoil, Israel stands out as a beacon of order and human progress. Each week we update you on what's happening in this, the Jewish state, a true light unto the nations. This is Jay Shapiro. Join me every Thursday on Israel News Talk Radio.
Has the news got you down? Not with these funny guys. You're listening to Lighten Up with Steve Miller and Matt Zucker.
Welcome back, everyone, to Lighten Up here on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. I am your co-host, Matt Zucker, with my lovely and talented other co-host, Stephen Miller.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm so excited.
So excited. Anyway, so there's so much to talk about. See, I'm having I'm sitting here and having paralysis by analysis. What do I talk about first? Everything is so good, but I'm just going to start with something positive. All right.
Okay.
There was an article that Jewish immigration in 2021 has jumped 31% this year.
Yeah,
and
they
said despite the pandemic. And I took issue with that because I thought, you know what, this is the largest increase. I don't know how long. I should find out when was there ever an increase like this. But I think it's because of the pandemic, right? All the Jews around the world are going, uh-oh, time's running out.
You are correct. You came during the pandemic.
I did. It was a crazy time. Listen, I have to tell you that it was such an adventure, right? So we get off the plane right into a quarantine hotel. And by the way, anyone that says 2 weeks of quarantine, big deal, you weren't allowed to leave the room. The only reason I didn't jump off the balcony was because it wasn't high up enough. I would have just gotten hurt.
I've just gotten hurt.
It was so bad. It was so hard. And then you get out of quarantine, or what they call bidood, which is isolation. Everyone's wearing a mask, so you don't know the language. You can't see what everyone. It was making Aliyah. Everyone has their challenges. Okay, I don't think everyone has their issues. Man, during the pandemic, holy mackerel. And then moving into a Jewish police state, right? I'm like, I gave up my constitution. You can get a 500 shekel ticket for walking down the street without a mask when I first moved here, and so, in America, you can take issue with the police. Well, a very good Israeli friend of mine who's a part-time policeman said, don't ever badmouth the cops here. And I said, why? He goes, well, you'll get tased and beaten. Tased? And I start laughing. And he goes, no, I'm serious. He goes, this is not the United States of America. You cannot tell the police to bugger off. Anyways, I was very encouraged with that. And
all right, so that's good.
I hope more Jews get the bug and come here.
Get the bug. And not COVID. Not that bug.
Yeah, baby. Anyway, so that was my one piece of positive news. I said,
all right. You started off positive. That's good. I've got another positive story for you.
Oh, really?
This is great. This is a sign of the times, Matt. A New York rabbi designs a concealed carry coat for Shabbat right here in the United States.
Nice.
Yes. And there's a video of him demonstrating it. He was interviewed by the New York Post. I wish this was like a visual. People could watch the video. But his name is Rabbi Raziel Cohen of Morris County, New Jersey. He designed a $550 kapota. That's how much it cost.
So he's Hasidic.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, it's a long jacket worn by Hasidic men during Shabbat. It's a tactical kapota. That's what it's called. That's what he calls it.
Is it made from Kevlar?
But so basically, what he did was, these jackets have buttons, and you can't, sit there and untie a button to get to your firearm. So he created a quick access snaps, which are hidden under a decoy version of the button. So it looks like there's buttons, but they're really attached by snaps, so you can just pull the jacket open. And the company that manufactured this for him, that he found, it's a Miami-based company. The guy's name is Saul Snovisky. Hey, Saul! And he produces this. They're called, well, I guess he's calling them luxury capotas, but people are buying him off the shelf, and then when they interviewed him, he's like, basically, he opens up his jacket. There's like a Glock 17. There's like another extra mag right in the front. I mean,
you got to have extra mags, man, because you don't want to run out.
Right. I mean, this Yid is like, every Jew should be like this guy. And here's this guy, a Hasidic man. I mean, and then so there's a picture of him in the New York Post with his jacket open, and I'm telling you, dude, he is the Hebrew Hammer.
I love that movie.
Oh, that movie was the greatest. This guy literally is the Hebrew Hammer. That's a great, great story. So all you Hasids, stop getting beat up in Brooklyn and start carrying. Buy this guy's kapota.
Well, that would never fly in probably a U.S. Reform or conservative shul, I'm imagining.
Well, no, because they're
gun-free zones.
This is for the observant Torah Jew. So
yes, the ones who are actually targeted.
Exactly.
Well, good for him.
Oh, it's great. What a great story.
B'hatzlacha, great success to him. I hope he never gets to use it tactically. How about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Better to be prepared and not need it.
Yep.
Well, listen, I want to talk about something that was in the paper the other day that really kind of upset me. And I suppose, I don't know, maybe it's just trying to latch on to that dying, Me Too movement. The late Shimon Peres was accused of sexual assault back in the 80s by a former member of Knesset from the Labor Party by the name of Colette Avital. I thought, this is coming out of nowhere. I mean, Perez is like a national hero in this country. Like, why is she doing this? So you read the article, right? And so they were in New York on business. And when they were done, she went to leave the office. And get this. It's horrible. He tried to kiss her.
What? What
and
a shonda.
And then she pushes him away and leaves the office. And I'm going to tread lightly here because I do not want to, make fun of sexual assault because it's not funny. Okay, but this isn't assault. That's called making a pass.
Exactly.
If you didn't let her leave the office and kept trying, now we can talk assault. But I got to tell you, and it was in the 80s. It was a much different world in the 80s. You could actually use the defense, Your Honor. She wasn't wearing. Did you see what you? Different world. I don't want to get too crude, but it was anyway. But I was like, what? The only person getting assassinated here is Perez's. The only thing being assaulted rather is Perez's reputation. It's like he tried to kiss me in the 80s, and she must be out of money looking for a book deal.
Yeah. Well, unlike Bill Clinton. So.
Speaking of which,
I did not have relations with that woman, Shimon Peres, you should have kept her in the room. Listen to Bill. Shimon.
We'll
it
get
depends
you down.
what the word is.
Whatever. Come on down to the Jeff Epstein Island.
Shimon, I have
Bill
a
Clinton
ticket.
was just in the hospital, actually.
I had VD.
You had what?
I had VD.
All right. Next.
Shimon, I've got a ticket for the Epstein Island. Just you and me. Is he still alive, Shimon?
No.
Oh, that's okay. We can bring him along anyway. It'll be like weekend at Shimon's.
Oh, my God. Like weekend at Joe Biden's?
With Shimon Peres. I'll hold him up. He's a chick magnet.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Isn't that wonderful? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Before we get out of here, I've got a good story. Okay, in Israel, she's from Ireland, this woman, Sally Rooney. Have you heard of her?
Yeah.
She wrote this book, and she doesn't want an Israeli publisher to publish it in Hebrew so she could protest Israel's apartheid state. And an Israeli publisher, I don't want it to be in Hebrew. So you guys, all the Jews over there, will not be able to read my book. I don't understand what is wrong with Ireland, why there's so much hate. These people should be happy, okay? They have every reason to be happy. First of all, listen to this, Matt. First of all, they beat England. They're not, suppressed by England anymore. They got the guy on the Lucky Charms cereal box representing them. I mean, right? Hi, Lucky Charms, right? We love Lucky
Magically
Charms.
delicious.
Magically delicious, except for the Jews. They have rainbows with pots of gold, and they're alcoholics. I mean, they should be happy all the time. And yet, now the Israeli people will be deprived of this woman's horrible book because I refuse to have it printed in Hebrew. I stand for the Arabs.
I tell you, I really don't know what's up with Ireland. And I used to be a big fan of Irish whiskey, but I can't in good conscience drink that anymore. So we all have to make sacrifices. But seriously, and I know it's not everybody in Ireland. There are actually some organizations of strong Israel defenders in Ireland, but something's wrong there. It's the government. I don't know.
Just eat your Lucky Charms and shut up, Sally.
Sally Rooney. Think she's related to Mickey Rooney?
Go watch Notre Dame and just be quiet.
Well, listen, we're
Rudy,
coming up to another break here. And when we get back, we got a few more things to discuss. I'd like to talk about the FIFA chief Gianni Infantino, who was in Israel recently, talking about bringing the World Cup to Israel. Exciting possibility. We'll see. Anyway, plenty more to discuss when we get back from this break. Stay tuned. And you're listening to Israel News Talk Radio and Lighten Up.
The Tamar Yona Show.
Tamar? She's sassy.
She's smart.
She's funny.
But she's also a real Jewish mother.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tamar Yona. And yes, I can be all of those things. But at Israel News Talk Radio, I'm here to bring you the news stories and guests that you may not hear anywhere else. Join me live on air Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays for the most unique and bold talk radio in Israel.
The Tamar Yona Show.
Shalom, I'm Leah Aharoni. Join me on my show, News from the Torah. Each Sunday, we'll use the weekly Torah portion as a prism for understanding the news today. Listen to News from the Torah to gain clarity about the times we're living in and to understand your own spiritual path in the process. News from the Torah every Sunday on Israel News Talk Radio.
Has the news got you down? Not with these funny guys. You're listening to Lighten Up with Steve Miller and Matt Zucker.
Welcome back, everybody, to Israel News Talk Radio. Thank you for hanging in there. Hope everyone had a good commercial break. Matt, how are you? Still with us?
What?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. He was sleeping. Matt, I have something I didn't get to last week. Another Taliban update.
You know, listen, every time you do a Taliban update, you know what pops into my mind?
What?
That song. Hey, Mr. Taliban, Taliban banana. Is that the song? Oh, it's Taliban,
yes.
Not Taliban?
Taliban, telling me banana.
I see.
Daylight
I see,
come, man. I cut off your head.
Right. I see Harry Belafonte sitting there with his maracas and straw hat. And I'm sorry. Anyway, your update.
Well, no, I've been criticized because people hate the way I say Taliban. It is
Taliban.
not Taliban. It's Taliban.
Taliban.
Anyway,
and
so here it
Pakistan.
is. So the head of the article, it says, can the Taliban squash ISIS? All right. So basically what's going on now is that the Taliban promised the United States to keep the extremist groups in check during successive rounds of peace talks under the 2020 U.S. Taliban Accord. Did you know there was a U.S. Taliban Accord meetings going on? Am I taking crazy pills?
I don't know. Are you?
Yes. What, are you kidding me? First of all, the Taliban, listen, we are going to keep extremists out of our country. Hello, you are an extremist.
Well, you know, that's a relative term.
I mean, the U.S. Taliban Accord, what is that, like the Abraham Accords, except the Axis of Evil version? I mean, I'm taking crazy pills. So basically, the Taliban guarantees that Afghanistan will not become a haven for terrorists. They are terrorists. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen, man, one man's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. Lighten up, dude.
Listen, Matt, I want to tell you something. We stand against all terrorism, except, of course, for our own. We endorse that.
So, listen, I got to tell you, speaking of the Taliban, it's not really slightly related. I was reading about huge cultural differences, as you can imagine, from all the Afghan refugees that were, evacuated out. And so I started reading about an article of this really high-end hotel in England on the North Yorkshire coast. It's the Grand Hotel. You should see it. The place is beautiful. It's filled with Afghan refugees. But listen, here's the best part. So Afghan refugees, right?
Yeah.
the like goat herders from the Stone Age who don't know about plumbing, right, are repulsed by toilets.
I am repulsed by this thing. Why is this thing flushed down?
Well, first of all, it's kind of funny to you and I, but it's a real cultural difference. They think it is disgusting that you would put your bare body on this porcelain thing that people use for this purpose. Why would you do that? So in this beautiful hotel, the Afghans are using the shrubberies and the and the landscaping outside the hotel.
Oh.
Instead
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. But here's this, and then you start reading the story. Guess what? They're having the same problem on U.S. bases in America, where they brought in Afghan refugees. There's reports of Afghan refugees, refusing to use Western-style bathrooms with toilets. They use the outdoors. They use bags. They use everything because, and they're like, and these people are like, these Westerners are so barbaric.
These Westerners are infidels. Only an infidel uses a toilet. Why are you flushing this? Oh, boy. It is unbelievable. Well, apparently in Afghanistan, they promised during the U.S. Taliban Accords, which just the fact that the United States government entertains them is unbelievable. There's a big rivalry between ISIS and the Taliban. Did you know they hate each other? They hate each other. So the difference basically is that the Taliban wants to just make Afghanistan a caliphate, an Islamic state. But the ISIS, they want the whole world to be a caliphate. And so ISIS considers them infidels, not true Islamic state. Wow. So they're like at war. And they're like, so... I mean, it's just
Listen, it's a shame the Americans left because the enemy of my enemy. So I bet you the Taliban and ISIS weren't such enemies when we were there.
No, they were, of course not. And now they're coming here and using my shrubbery to wipe themselves.
That was really such an image. I was reading that article and I was like, wow.
This bush is a little rough.
Now, listen, it might be a cultural thing, and I cannot attest to this, like, from personal experience. But from more than one person, I have been told that Arab dwellings in the Judean Samaria area, at least, and it doesn't matter whether it's a shack or a palace, lacks plumbing fixtures. They have holes in the floor. Nothing else. A hole in the floor, nothing left. So
they're going. Matt, look, they're going.
When
biblical.
in Rome,
they like to go biblical.
Yeah. So, anyway, and just as a real quick update, since we're talking about the Taliban. Zebulon Simintov, you remember him?
Oh, my favorite Afghan. What's going on with him?
The last Jew is on his way to Israel.
Woohoo! He's out of New York.
Yeah, but he's, I think, right now currently in Turkey. I don't know. How the heck does the guy go? He wants to come to Israel, so he goes to Turkey on his way to Israel. I don't know why he couldn't get a direct flight, whatever. But he had to give his wife the get before he could come, which is the Jewish law, the Jewish divorce.
So she got her wish.
She got her wish.
This is great.
Because if he did not give the get, he would have been arrested when he showed up.
That's right. Oh, Hashem works in beautiful ways, doesn't he?
I wonder what this guy's going to do here.
He'll probably
run for the
up
Knesset.
Or he's so used to living in Afghanistan that he's going to use your bushes to go to the bathroom when he visits you.
He might be more comfortable in Ramallah than a Jewish city. Who knows?
Well, that's fine. I have an update story then. But our audience will not know it's an update because I was talking on Mount Sinai last week, so no one heard me. It was so bad. Remember the Israeli-German singer who the Westin Hotel in Germany, they decided to not give him service because he was wearing his Jewish star. Do you remember that? It was huge.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then the Westin Hotel last week decides to put out an apology. all their apology was a bunch of employees standing outside their hotel holding Israeli flags, and in between the Israeli flags was the Islamic symbol. That was their apology. Did you see that?
What, you mean like a crescent? And
Yeah. That was in between each Israeli flag.
Really?
Yeah, that was their apology. And it gets better. So then apparently people protested for what they did to this guy, and 600 people showed up to protest. So the hotel hires this security firm to make sure that, people don't damage the hotel or riot. It gets even better. The hotel ended up hiring a neo-Nazi security firm to guard against the demonstrators.
What?
Yes, it was a hotel. I'm going to pull up this story, but they found out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they found out the Westin deployed security guards from Leipzig, I can't even pronounce this, whatever, some Nazi Germany place. They found them like local reporters covering the rally were already familiar with the company based on the participation of its managing directors and some employees in the far right and the neo-Nazi scene. So basically they just looked in the yellow pages and they found the security guard team. They posted a picture on Facebook. They ended up taking it down. But I just think that's hysterical.
Hey, can I just back up for 1 second, because it's really kind of like not really about this. When you have the far right neo-Nazis, I just have to say something. Nazis get a bad rap, right? Everyone always says they're far right. They are left wing. They are National Socialists. You know how they got that bad rap? Because the communists won World War II, so they got to label the fascists as bad people, and the communists took over the whole education system in America and polluted the minds of the young, and everybody thinks that Nazis are right-wingers. Well, they're not. They're
right. I know that.
Because the left wing is insipid and evil and kills everybody. The right wing is like toothless tigers who just like flap their gums at like libertarian conventions. There's like three right-wing Jew haters in the world. The rest of them all come from the left. And when people go right-wing Nazis, I go,
Okay. Let Matt lighten up. Calm down. Take a pill. Calm down. The Westin Hotel. I just think it's hysterical that they just ended up.
And the Islamic flag.
Right. And so they were all standing outside. Man, the security guards were standing in front of 600, screaming people, and they're like, "We will stop all Jews from coming in. I am security." What are you Jews so angry about? Because they ask a customer to take off his obnoxious Jew supremacy necklace? What's the big deal?
We just had Angela Merkel here for a state visit. Oh. And actually, Luftwaffe, do they still call the German Air Force the Luftwaffe? I don't know. German fighter planes buzzed Jerusalem, actually, with IAF planes. It was crazy. I'm like, why are they bending over for the Chancellor of Germany? She wants a two-state solution and gives money to. Anyway, we'll be back. Lighten up. After this break, we'll come back and lighten up, everyone.
In a time where feelings have become fact, where rational thought and common sense has disappeared, one man stands above it all.
I'm Howie Sobiker, your political hitman.
Political Hitman airs every Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. North American time, 7 a.m. Israeli time, only on Israel News Talk Radio.
Are you interested in transforming your life, drawing closer to the Creator, and uncovering the deeper meanings and hidden treasures in the Hebrew Bible?
Then join me, Rav Yitzhak Michelson,
and me, William Hall,
on the Science of Kabbalah, where we are seeking to narrow the gap between what we understand of our physical and spiritual worlds. So make sure to tune in every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Israel time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on Israel News Talk Radio.
Has the news got you down? Not with these funny guys. You're listening to Lighten Up with Steve Miller and Matt Zucker.
Welcome back, everyone, to Lighten Up for our final segment. I'm Matt Zucker here with Stephen Miller. That was a so far fast hour, huh, pal?
Oh, well, that's what happens when you're having fun and you're talking about stupid people.
Stupid people. Oh, my God. Too many stupid people in the world.
That's right.
Anyway, listen, and it's not really kind of like Jewish humor or about Israel. It was just one of these things where I got it.
That's okay.
I just got to talk about it, man, because it ain't the world I grew up in.
Okay.
Did you hear about the reboot of Superman?
Reboot
Of Superman. Superman is now bisexual. Okay. I got to tell you something. Superman was bisexual, which is kind of funny because I didn't realize he was heterosexual. There was no sexual aspect of Superman, but now we got to make Superman bisexual, and no longer does Superman say truth, justice, and the American way. Right? This actually is even better. I love it. Truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. By Superman. He's super duper man.
Do you ever, Matt, do you ever see the Saturday Night Live skit years ago, the ambiguous gay duo?
Yeah, Pat.
No. This is a cartoon by Smeagol, a Jewish guy.
It was like a Batman and Robin type character.
Right, ambiguous gay duo. So is Superman going to now have like a partner in crime? Who's this partner?
Ooga. Well, I said, first of all, what was ever sexual about Superman? He was a superhero. I mean, yeah, there might have been some weird tension between him and Lois Lane. Okay, understandable. But there was never. He was. And now I'm thinking, so are they going to make it a romantic interest with like young Jimmy Olsen, or is he going to be, or is it Perry White, the news director? Yeah, how are they going to inject this into Superman while he's trying to make for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow? Anyway, so what do you got? That's it for us. I just got that in there.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. Even though I would love to talk about that. Here's one for you. The U.S. State Department is still looking for a vandal who etched a swastika in the elevator. Did you hear about this?
I did not.
Oh, my. It happened 3 months ago, and it would have been swept under the rug. But a reporter from the Associated Press, the State Department was having a press conference, and he basically asked how the investigation was going. And basically someone in the elevator took a knife or something and sketched a swastika in the elevator, and the investigation has been going for 3 months. Okay, they can't seem to. The vandal is yet to be identified. Now, don't you find something strange about that? How in the State Department they can't find someone who did that? You don't think there's cameras everywhere?
I think there's cameras everywhere, and I bet you they either know exactly who it is, and it would embarrass them.
Well,
or they just don't care.
Right. So, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken ordered the investigation. No. He's the one who ordered the investigation. Okay. Our diplomatic security remains engaged in this investigation. I mean, it's just crazy. So I kind of, look, I'll be honest with you. I think it was President Houseplant.
It makes me have listen. Do you know that Arlo Guthrie piece, Alice's Restaurant?
No.
Okay, never mind. It would take too long to set it up. There was this whole crime processing thing over a littering charge.
It was Joe Biden. It was me, President Houseplant, except it wasn't a swastika, Matt. I was drawing squiggly lines. It was a stick figure of an Indian eating ice cream. I love Indians.
He is actually a stone cold racist, Joe Biden. Through the years, he once made a crack about you about Indians and 7-Elevens, and
that's right, he did during the campaign.
Look, I remember when he was running. I think he was running against Barack Obama in the primary. He said that he was like like the most articulate, clean, black guy he knew. It was like,
you're the most articulate black guy I've ever met. Not a swastika.
Some of my best friends are black guys.
Right. So now, if you go, anyone who takes a tour and goes to the U.S. State Department, take a picture of that swastika while you're in the elevator and send it to me.
If you can get into the State Department. That's the thing. How do you get, not just anybody's getting in there, I would imagine.
Do you have anything quick, Matt?
I do. Listen,
before I get to my stupid Jewish entertainment?
I just got to say something. So, I live on the northern Mediterranean coast of Israel, right? Prime scuba diving place. I'm an avid scuba diver, done it for years. Used to do a lot of stuff underwater. I haven't scuba dived since I've got here. Well, that is going to change because some dude was diving off a beach probably about 20 minutes north of me, and finds a 900-year-old Crusader sword.
Wow!
That the line there in the floor of the sea, and my son's crazy. He's like, I can't believe that guy turned that in. Get 900-year-old. That's awesome. I said, how are you concealing like a 6-foot-long broadsword?
Hey, he can conceal it in the that guy's capota.
The guy, I think it might be a little bit big for the carry permit. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was so cool. And actually, they had a couple of years ago, some divers right near where I live found a priceless trove of Byzantine era coins. So I definitely have to get back in the water because
get in the water, you'll be rich.
No, you have to turn all that stuff over to the antiquities department and. The broadsword, you turn that over. If I found a sack of coins, that would be the ultimate ethical test. Okay. I'm just saying. Sorry. Anyway, that was my quick one. What do you got?
Listen, I want to finish the show with this. Another segment of stupid Jewish entertainment news. This is good. This story proves that God has a sense of humor. I love this. This is actually two stories tied together with the same celebrity. Mayim Bialik, right?
Yeah.
Actress.
From, what was that? She was,
she's in The Big Bang Theory, and she's also a child star.
Child star or something, yeah. I don't watch too much TV, but I'm aware of her, yes.
So she's currently hosting Jeopardy. So initially, the New York Times wrote a hit piece on her, and the headline reads, Mayim Bialik wants Jeopardy job. Is she neutral enough? Because apparently she is very outspoken. She's very pro-Israel. She's an Orthodox Jew. She's very observant. And so the article mentions it brings up her blog. Apparently she blogs a lot. And it talks about how at one point in her blog she was donating money to the IDF for acquiring bulletproof vests. And the New York Times had a photo cut line of it with a picture of her, and it identifies her as Bialik, who has courted controversy by weighing in on hot-button issues online. So apparently a controversial hot button is trying to keep Jewish soldiers from dying. But it gets better. It gets better.
No.
So it does. Listen, so she's hosting Jeopardy, okay? And last Wednesday, she had a category for Shabbat. She had a Sabbath category, okay? And I'm going to tell you, here was the question. The clue for 400 was Exodus chapter 35, verse 3, bans doing this on the Sabbath. Quickly, do you know what it is before I move on?
What verse?
Chapter 35, verse 3, bans doing this on the Sabbath.
Lighting a fire.
Oh, actually, you know what? You're right. But listen, you're right. But the contestants who weren't Jewish, they were Gentiles. They had no idea they didn't know what she was talking about. They were just like, what is putting up a Christmas tree?
Well, first of all, I got lucky on that one, and even a blind squirrel eats twice a day, right? Anyway, so listen, the Christians though have the Old Testament, right?
Part of it.
What do you mean part of it? They don't have. It's like they have the New Testament, but the Old Testament.
Parts of the Old Testament are in there. But wait, listen, this is great. So the answer is, what is lighting a fire, right? And the anti-Semites, they're going to love this, because the executive producer, which we did a story about this weeks ago, Mike Richards, who was supposed to host the show, but he got excused because they found offensive comments on social media about women and Jews. Do you remember that story? And then he also was making fun of homeless people.
Yeah.
Right. He's still the executive producer. They just pulled him from being the host. But how great is God's sense of humor that now the host of the show is a Jewish woman and she's doing categories about Shabbat.
Listen, there was Alex Trebek was still alive. They had a couple years ago maybe. One of the questions was about what country, I don't know, what country is like Bethlehem in or something like that, and the guy said Israel. Yeah, got the points. It caused such a storm because
they love that. Listen, the people are going to go nuts. I mean, she's bringing up Jewish stuff, and how dare they, and how dare she, and she's not neutral. And I mean, I would love to be on that show. I'd be like, I'll take Moshe's desert journeys for 1,000. I love it. It's the best.
Yeah. Well, listen, kind of like on some entertainment news real fast. This is a really funny thing. I saw an interview with Jon Stewart, who says that Donald Trump has a really good chance of winning in 2024. And I got all excited. I said, oh, wow, this is awesome. And then I realized he wasn't happy like I was. Anyway, that's it for this show, everybody. That hour went really fast. We'll catch you next week on Lighten Up right here on Israel News Talk Radio.
Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, let's go, Brandon.
Where can you get the inside news on Israel? At Israel News Talk Radio, we're dedicated to sharing Israel's inside story with the world by providing our listeners with news on Israeli politics, current affairs, and Israeli Jewish culture. The Israel News Talk Radio homepage also provides you, the listener, with useful information at your fingertips, with scrolling news headlines, weather, currency exchange, Shabbat candlelighting times, and so much more. Our radio programming is always accessible and on demand. We operate absolutely free of charge for everyone, everywhere. If you love what we do, partner with us now by becoming an Israel News Talk Radio supporter. With your support, you'll be inscribed on our Israel News Talk Radio Wall of Fame. There's nothing like us in the world. Be part of something great. Israel News Talk Radio. Straight talk from Israel.
Howdy, this is Rita from League City, Texas, now living in Israel. And though my heart may have belonged to Texas, it now belongs to Israel and all the fantastic show hosts at Israel News Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Michael Solomon from Kiryat Arba, Israel. And why do I love listening to Israel News Talk Radio? Because I love listening to the interesting interviews they do and their news reporting that most other media sources don't cover.
Hey, this is Nicoleko from Malmö, Sweden. It gets pretty cold here in Sweden, so I love cuddling up with a warm cup of tea while I listen to Israel News Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Frank Morris from Tennessee. Me and my dog Buster really love listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
News, opinion, and more. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.